All right, 22 minutes past 7 here on the program. The Department of Health, in partnership with the Ethekwini Municipality, has launched the Ubuntu Initiative, Men Take Responsibility Initiative. The main objective is to encourage men to take responsibility for their health, their behaviours, and to stop the abuse of women and children. The program started on Monday in Durban, and it's expected to run until Sunday. For more on this, we are joined in our Durban studios from Dr. Jogan Pillay, who is the Director General of the Department of Health, as well as well-known actor Selo Make-Kanube. Good to have both of you. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us here on Morning Live.
Good morning, Leanne.
Good morning, Leanne.
All right, so this initiative, a very important initiative. Just talk to us about how it all came about. I'm not too sure who wants to take this one. Perhaps you, Dr. Pillay, would you like to start?
Thank you very much, Leanne. Yes, you're absolutely right. The Department of Health is very concerned about the high levels of violence against women. A recent survey that we did, called the Demographic and Health Survey, found that almost 1 in 4 women were physically or reported being physically abused, largely by men. That is just way too many. And we know that physical abuse and mental abuse leads to all kinds of social and health challenges, not the least of which, of course, is transmission of HIV, as well as unwanted pregnancies, and really, physical damage to women. So in that context, we thought it would be good to partner with some of our celebrities to really focus on men. We also found, and this is some statistics that we've had for a while now, that men are not using health facilities, they are not condomizing to the extent that we would like them to condomize, use condoms. They also have high levels of TB, which are untreated. So for a number of reasons, we thought that we should be focusing on men's health and equally getting men to take responsibility for their behavior, especially their behavior towards children and women. And this is in the context, of course, as you know, given the spate of violence we've seen recently against children and women that was widely broadcast in the media. So we're very pleased to partner with the people like Selo, as well as Jomo Sono, as well as the Prince Zulu, which, one of the sons of the Zulu king in King Zwelithini in this province.
Selo, let's bring you into the conversation. Why did you feel it was important to join this campaign? Having your standing as well, I imagine your voice is heard quite loudly, but on a personal level, why?
On a personal level, I've been involved I started getting involved in the, gender activism, I think as far back as 1998, when I started working on a play with 4 young men in Alexander who had started a men's program under the auspices of ADAPT, an NGO that deals with domestic violence in Alexander. We workshopped the play and we called it Komeng, but we actually just use Komeng, which means going to to the initiation school. But we use Komeng as a metaphor for psychological initiation. So men's issues and where men's spirit is at has been something that has bothered me, I think, actually, as far back as 1984, when I was 24 years old. But I only started getting involved like in 1998. And now, being involved with this initiative by the Department of Health and SANEC, and it is my aim to revive, I think, the spirit of Ubuntu, and for men to realize the important part that they play in life. At the moment that until men, take responsibility for themselves, for how they behave, for how they think, and the world is going to be in tatters. And I think it is very important that men stand up, take responsibility for their health. Self-love is the beginning of loving the next person, because when you love yourself, you would know how to treat the other person, and that is the spirit of Ubuntu, basically.
Yeah. This, of course, is running parallel to the South African AIDS Conference, which is, that I suppose is it's quite a clever decision, seeing that, AIDS has always been a very big issue in South Africa. It still continues to be that, and that take responsibility is also something that many always advocate when it comes to AIDS and your sexual life. Why did you decide? I mean, that's my interpretation of it, but Doc, why did you decide to actually run this parallel with the conference?
Well, as you say, Leanne, it was an opportune time to run it, but we've been planning this for a while, and we thought that we should do it on the sidelines of the conference so that it would also get additional exposure. But this is a national campaign, so we're going to be taking it with Sello and other celebrities to all parts of the country. The truth is that we are really not doing very well on preventing HIV transmission, as well as getting people who have TB on treatment and getting them cured. So South Africa has the twin epidemics of TB and HIV, and now, as you heard from Sello as well, sexual and gender-based violence. So we thought these three things come together quite nicely in the context of the conference, which is focusing largely on prevention this time around. We're doing quite well on getting people onto treatment with respect to HIV. We have almost 3.9 million people on treatment at the moment, but we have to ensure that we also close the tap. And one way of doing that, Leanne, is to get men to take responsibility for their action. A survey we did recently suggested that almost 1 in 4 men, about 17% of men report, these are self-reports, have multiple sexual partners. If you have multiple sexual partners, if you don't use condoms consistently and regularly, you are going to spread the infection because HIV is sexually transmitted. So we think it's very important that these issues come together and we then focus on men and men's health, as Sello just mentioned.
Yeah, just in Sello, the big, a big issue, of course, is trying to get this campaign out into the remote and rural areas, because so much is perhaps spoken about it here in mediums where there is television, there is radio, and we can get the message across much easier, especially with cell phones and social media. But the remote rural areas, this message, how is it going to get there?
We've been doing a very interesting exercise here in Durban. Somebody was saying that there are the people who are at the ICC, they are the people who are in hotels, and we are going to hostels. And that's where I've been since I came here, and we've been visiting the hostels. Yesterday we were at Wema. And basically we delivering the message of men taking responsibility there. In Zulu, it says, "Amadoda ayazibophela." And that's where that's how we actually trying to reach out. And I think with the government being involved, I think we will actually take this message to remote areas. I have whipped up a little piece that we perform to start up our discussions, with men at the hostels. And I've got some 4 young men who are gifted singers, and I'm reciting a sort of like a poem in Zulu about men taking responsibility. But I would like to say this in closing for taking this fight further. When I started working with ADAPT, there was a board member, one of the board members actually told a very little anecdote of a carpenter working, in his workshop, and he had a 7-year-old boy who was basically disturbing him. And what the carpenter did was, to keep the boy preoccupied a bit, there was a map of the world on the wall. He tore that map of the wall, tore it into little pieces, and threw it on the floor, got sellotape to get the boy to put the map of the world together. Yeah. After the boy had finished, he said, "Daddy, I'm done, I'm finished." Behind the map was a man's head. And the moral of the story is that if a man can get his head together, the world would be a better place to stay.
I love that. I do love that.
And for me, if men can get their head together, we definitely are going to make this world a better place to stay.
Sello, lovely. It's always great listening to you speaking, and I think that's a beautiful note to leave this interview on. Thank you very much, both of you, for joining us here on the program. Dr. Jürgen Pillay from the Department of Health, as well as actor Sello Make